8.1 Absolute Value Functions. What I want to do right now is I want to analyze how to graph a line and use our understanding of graphing lines to build our understanding of graphing absolute functions. So remember absolute value. If I were to say the absolute, so recall. If I were to say the absolute value of -3, oh, silly. The absolute value of -3, we would just say that that's 3. It turns everything positive. Remember, the absolute value of 0.5 is simply 0.5. So it's not that it does the opposite. It just takes everything, everything that's both negative and positive and spits out positive. It's essentially finding the magnitude of something, or the distance between points. So another thing that I want you to recall is how to graph a line, say, like y equals 2x minus 4. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make a grid. Good golly, do I ever love copying and pasting. I'm going to graph this thing. First things first, I want us to be able to graph it using just the equation itself. So I'm just going to use a different color here. I'm going to do it in red. So I know that the y-intercept is going to be -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Doop. And I know that my slope is up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1, up 2, and over 1. So if I were to connect these in a line, I would look something like this. Come on, buddy. There we go. That looks pretty stinking good. Good! So our slope is going to be +2. So if I were to, so I did this way on this kind of order on purpose because I want you to be able to graph lines like this. However, let's just look at a table of values here. If I were going to say this is my x and my y is going to be what? Another way of saying my y is I'm going to say my 2x minus 4. And then I'm going to take a look and see what our absolute value of 2x minus 4 is. Because this right here is our key to our absolute value functions when we graph it. So if I said that my x is -1, 0, 1, how do we go up to? Up to 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. -1 would be -6. Our 0 would be -4. Our 1 would be -2. Our 2 would be 0. And I think you see the pattern here. 2, 4. If we had a 5, it would be 6. Now let's look at the absolute value here. So if x is -1 for our function, or if our x is -1, it would be +6. Because essentially we would say the absolute value of -6 is +6. The absolute value of -4 would be +4. The absolute value of -2 would be +2. The absolute value of 0 is just 0. The absolute value of 2 is going to be 2. The absolute value of 4 is going to be 4. So if I were to graph, so I'm going to just identify what color this is. So this one right here is going to be my y equals 2x minus 4. But what happens if we were to graph something that was y equals the absolute value of 2x minus 4, we would just plot these points here. I'm going to do this in green. So I would have y equals -1 and x equals x equals -1 and y equals +6. So -1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll do x equals 0 and y equals +4. 1, 2, 3, 4. X equals 1 and y equals +2. And look at this. This right here is going to be a very special point, 0, 2. It's the same on both graphs. And then this one becomes 3, 2, 4, 4. And I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. If it were to be 5, it would be 6. So if I were to draw this this graph here, let's say, okay, starting point here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I want this one. So I'm going to start here and go out like this. Just going to change that. Yeah, I kind of knew that I wanted to redo that one. I'm going to go here, start right here, and go out. Right there. And we're going to do that again. Start here. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Oh no! Just hit undo. There we go. And I'm going to hit undo again. There we go. I'm just going to cheat a little bit, okay guys? We're going to have a line that goes out like this. Boop, psh, and a line that goes like this. Boop, psh. Now this green one is going to be our y equals absolute value of 2x minus 4. Whereas this red one is our y equals 2x minus 4 instead of the absolute value of 2x minus 4. This right here is our critical point because this is the point at which the original line, okay, the line that does not have the absolute value, continues down in a negative direction, whereas in an absolute value, function would pop back up. So essentially what we're doing is we're saying anything that's negative. So this one right here becomes 1, -2. In the absolute value version of that, it's going to be 1, +2. Now we can have negative x values. Okay, we can dip over into this side here, but the only thing that we will not have in an absolute value function is negative y values. Okay, all of our y values are always going to be positive. Now next year you're going to get into transformations and you might see some sort of reflection here, so there could be a negative here and or like a -1 over here, but you're not going to see that this year. Essentially what's going to be important is anything that is negative, okay, any y value that is negative bumps up to a positive y value.